everybody, I'm Shirley with So Too We Begin Embroidery. Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Always. New people and regular people alike. I do appreciate the support. It is very important. Thank you so much, and I hope that you are getting something beneficial out of my videos that I put up. I try. And if you're not, give me a comment. If you are, give me a comment. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe. You never know when you're going to learn something or see something or whatever that you're interested in, and that makes a big difference in your embroidery experience and something that you can share with other people. So I do hope that that is something that you can get out of this and that you're looking forward to. So today, I'm going to do part 2 of learning the LCD panel pages. As I mentioned that I would do a video or so ago. It's been a couple of weeks. Been busy doing other things, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the pages. And like I said, if you have questions, comments, or whatever, I've had people comment and tell me that they did learn something, that they didn't realize that this was something they could do, and that they were very happy that I brought the LCD panel information to them. Also, just want to let you know, the reason I'm doing the LCD panel, or have done part 1 and getting ready to do part 2, is because it was recommended and suggested by one of my audience viewers, and they thought it was a really good idea. So, of course, I want to do what people are asking for. So again, I hope you do get something out of it. I think I stopped on page 3. Well, completed page 3. So I'm going to go page 4 through 11 because they're not that long, so I don't think I need to do part 3. So part 2 should sum up everything. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I dropped my remote, so I got to bend down here and get it, and then we'll get started. Okay, so let's get started on the machine. So here we are at, I left off on page 3, I believe it. So let me go. Page 3, I completed it, and I talked about the needle attributes and where you can change to the different brands of threads up here. And you can either do it in the color, or you can do it with a number if you know the number when you're setting your needles. And then you have your anchor, which anchors a color, and that's if I put it on this comfort pink color, then that will always be on needle 1. So I'm going to take that off because I don't have that. Then you can also, anytime you hit an icon that has like the no smoking sign or the no sign in there, that means that you're going to be skipping that. So I'm going to take that off as well. So that's what number 3 screen is. I just want to give you an overview. So now we are at number 4. Number 4 screen is pretty self-explanatory. You have at the top background image display and scan quality. Background image display. If you want to use your camera to scan your project, then you always keep it on. If you have it on off, then it's on. If you have it on off, it's not going to do it. If you put it on, it will. You also need to see what quality of the scan you want it to be. I have mine on fine. It can be on standard and back on fine. I keep it on fine because I want to see the fine details and everything. And then I've had people ask about, well, how do you get the image off of your screen once you use the camera to scan it in? And there it is stuck. You go to another design or whatever, and it's still there. So you can turn it off, or you can hit delete. So your delete button will turn it off, and it says OK to delete the background image, and then you hit OK, and your image goes away. So that's what the delete button is for. So don't forget that. So let me go back to that page. Page 4. So now we come down to enhance image accuracy. Now, fabric thickness check. I have mine on off, and I tell you why. I put it on one time, and it did all of this scanning and moving around and everything because it's scanning the thickness of your project in there, so you can have a better stitch out, because it's going to program the embroidery machine to make sure it can go through whatever the thickness is. Like if you have a quilt or something in there that's very thick, you're doing anything that's thick, has the batting in it, anything like that, then you might want to have that on. I don't do it. I keep it on off because it takes up a lot of time. So I don't. But that's what it's for. You have attached table. Now you can have the tubular frame table, or you can have no table, or you can have the wide table. So this just lets the machine know what kind of table that you're using, because the more the machine knows about what you're doing, the more it is going to calibrate the machine to stitch correctly based upon what it is you're doing. So I've been using my tubular frame table, so I'm going to keep it on that. Next is camera view area. I have mine on all the time because I want it to capture whatever it is that's there when I'm using my camera. And the next one is rotation angle line. If you are doing, say for instance, a quilt, and you have the squares and you have the triangles and you have the stars and all sorts of different angles, you might want that crosshair to be able to be positioned in an angle. So you need to make sure that the rotation angle line is on. So I always do that. And once everything is set the way you want it, then of course you hit OK, and then you go to the next screen. So, go back. It's going to always go back to number 1 once you hit OK, because it assumes that you're done. So page 5. Opening screen, on or off. That's self-explanatory. The screensaver information and all of the pretty stuff that's on there when you turn the machine on is going to come up. You don't have to have that. You can turn it off, but I keep mine on. You have eco mode. What is eco mode? It's economy mode. It is economical mode. Basically, it is a save your electricity mode. If you don't use your machine, if it sits idle, on mine, I have it set at 90 minutes. And it can go 100, 110, 120. Okay, so 2 hours is the max. If it sits idle for 2 hours, then it will shut down. And if you have the shut off support mode, the economy means it goes into sleep mode like your computer does. If you have the shut off support mode, it will go off completely, turn off. And I have mine on 5 hours, so I probably need to back it down to 2. And then I'm going to put the sleep mode back to the 90 minutes that I had. So if I don't use my machine in an hour and a half and it's just sitting there, it's going to go to sleep. And if I don't do it within, let me do, I'm going to say 3 hours. So double that. Then it just shuts off. It just saves you electricity. Now all you have, if it goes in sleep mode, everything shuts down. Wait 5 seconds, then you can turn everything back on. So it's just saving you. Like I said, it's economical. It's saving electricity. No big deal, but that's just what it's for. Now you have your screensaver. My screensaver will come up after 30 minutes of non-use. What I've also done, I have personalized my screensaver, which you can do. The information and how to do it is in your manual. You can put your own pictures on screensaver. You don't have to just stay with the pictures that came with the machine. Like I said, I have personalized my screensaver, so I have my own personal pictures on there. And let me see if I can go in there. Takes a second to pull it up. And if you look, I have all of pictures of me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so I can do it either default, wait a few minutes, takes a while, goes right back to the way it came in when you bought it, or again, go back to customize. Again, it's going to take a minute or so to get it, and there you have mine. So I keep mine on customize because I put my own pictures in there, and you use the USB port to insert your own pictures. So that's what that's for. So that's your screensaver, and you can have it adjusted to however long you want it to be, or whatever. I have mine on 30 minutes, so that's how it's going to be. The screen display brightness, you can have it. I have mine as bright as it'll go. You can dull it down if you want, or you can put it back bright. I'm half blind, so I have it at the brightest light that it will go. So that's screen number 5. Screen number 6, light brightness. That's the light of the machine. How light do you want that? And the notification brightness. So that's the light that's underneath your needle, the needles, and so you can see what you're doing, and so you can see what the issue is or what have you. And then of course the notification brightness, whenever, I don't need mine that bright because sometimes it's just like bright, but it lets you know there's an issue, and it just has the light on there. You have your operation volume, which also lets you know what's going on, and so you can hear it in the notification volume, so you can hear it when there's an issue going on. So I have mine at 5, which is the highest, and you can go down. I hope you heard that. That's your notification volume. So I like to have it as high as it'll go, because that way I know that I can be in another room and I can hear it. So I have both of those at max. Now here is important. You can have inches or you can have millimeters. It depends upon how you use your measurements. Now I know the matrix system is the most accurate and most used measuring system in sewing and embroidery. However, if you're like me, I'm always converting the millimeters or centimeters to inches, because that's where my head is, and that's what I understand the most. I understand of a quarter of an inch, a half of an inch, eighth of an inch more than I do 0.3 millimeters or so forth and so on. Even with the hoop size of millimeters, I prefer having inches. So because of that, I have mine on inches. So you can switch between inches or millimeters, however you want, but I keep mine on inches. And then of course your language, whatever that language is, and of course mine is English, so I have mine on English. You have options. You can go German, French, Italian, Dutch, Spanish, Japanese, Danish, Swedish, Portuguese, Russian, Korean, Czech, Polish, Romanian, Hungarian, and back to English. So it's a lot of different languages in here. So whatever your language is, hopefully it's in there. And this is where you switch it so you can read the information and you know exactly what it's saying. So that is your screen number 6. So let's go to 7. 7 has to do with the wireless, well, it has to do with your USB cable and how you're linking it to your computer if you want to. I have USB cable because that's what I use. Well, I can use. I have not hooked up my cable from my computer to my machine. You can do that, or you can actually do wireless with this machine. I don't do either one right now. I just use the handy USB stick because that's what I'm used to. So I do have it on, but I haven't used it. And then have send to embroidery screen. So if and whenever I decide to do that, it is set up where I can, and all my information will go to my embroidery screen. So I'm in the process of contemplating getting a brother scanning cut. And this is going to be very important, because if I get one, that's one of the main reasons I will be getting it, besides cutting out material for quilting, because I'm thinking about getting into quilting. I said I would never do that, but I'm beginning to believe that that's something I need to learn how to do. So I think I will be getting into quilting and having the scanning cut that will cut your quilt pieces, and also put the stitching line in there. The margin is very intriguing to me and helps me to truly consider getting into quilting, because that was my biggest concern, cutting my pieces out, getting it sewed correctly, and so forth and so on. So anyway, I digress. But back to what this will do for me if I get the scanning cut, or if you just want to transfer your designs from your computer to your machine without using your USB, this is where you go. Now, manual color sequence. I have a video on how to program the machine for more than 10 colors when it's only a 10 needle machine. And I mentioned that the way you do it is your manual color sequence. If you have it off, you cannot manually select your colors. You have to go into the screen, and I think it's screen number 2 or 3, where you assign colors to your needle, and every time you have a design, then the design is telling the embroidery machine what color is going to be on what needle. Then you have to make sure that that's the color on the needle based upon what your machine says. I do it the opposite. I have manual color sequence on always, and that means I can either go into that screen, as I mentioned, if you look at my video, and tell the machine where my colors are located. Machine doesn't tell me, I tell the machine, which works best for me because I'm constantly switching up my thread. I don't want to have anything specifically assigned to a number, because depending upon what my design is, my thread, blue thread, may be on needle 1, needle 7, needle 8, whatever, wherever I choose to put it. That's where I put it. That works for me. However, you can do it the way you want to, but if you want to have the control, then your manual color sequence should be on. So that's what I'm saying. Then you have your thread sensor, which senses if you're running out of thread, if your bobbin is gone. I have mine on. On. But I don't know. Well, it does sense when the bobbin is out, because it stops. It lets you know there's a problem with your thread. And when your thread breaks, it stops. It lets you know there's a problem with your thread. So that's what the sensor does. It just doesn't just keep stitching when you don't have thread. When you don't have bobbin thread, you don't have top thread. Some machines will do that, and that's because you don't have your thread sensor turned on. So if you even have a single needle machine and that's doing that, because somebody mentioned that to me about their machine just kept going and going and didn't let them know that they had run out of thread. And that's probably why. If their machine, which I'm pretty sure it does because it was an expensive machine, probably did not have the thread sensor button selected, so it will let you know when your bobbin is out, when your thread is out. Now, it doesn't say bobbin out. Now, there are some machines. I was looking at a demo the other day with a Happy Japan machine, commercial machine, and it definitely said bobbin thread out or something along, or low or whatever, and the guy was able to stopped, well, the machine stopped, and he was able to switch his bobbin out before it ran completely out. So the machine did let him know, okay, look, dude, your bobbin is just about empty. You need to stop and change this, because he knew his bobbin was low. But to keep from wasting thread, he didn't pull the bobbin out. He just kept stitching with the bobbin until the machine told him, it is so low that you're going to run out. Please change it, which I think and wish we had that on this machine. However, we don't, as far as I know, but it will stop. When your bobbin is out, it will stop. Now, what I recommend is that you always check your bobbin when you start a project. Sometimes I forget. But if your bobbin is low, then I personally change it. So I have a lot of I have a lot of bobbins that have just a small amount of thread on it, which I keep. I don't throw it away, because I know if I have a project that's not going to utilize a lot of bobbin, I just put one of those in there. So I'm not wasting bobbin thread by throwing it away. But I would really love it if I could just go all the way down to the bare minimum and then take it out and not have to worry about having to remember to do that on my own. But I do recommend that you check your bobbin before you start your project. And if you think you're going to run out before the project is done, put a fresh bobbin in there, and that just saves you time, especially if you got your table on and you got this jacket hoop or onesie hoop or something that's covering up your bobbin arm or something that makes it difficult to get to. I just rather make sure I got a full bobbin, then I don't have to worry about getting to my bobbin in the middle of my project usually. But that's just me. So that's what that is. And then you have your mouse pointer, which is, if you look here, the cursor changes. No big deal. It has 3 different changes, and you can put it on whichever one you choose. So that is page 7. Page 8. Very important for 2 reasons. One, and hopefully you will not do this, but if you want to sell your machine for whatever reason, it's to your advantage and very important to know what your stitch count is. So when you're advertising it for sale, the potential buyer will know how much usage has been done on this machine. So it tells you 2 things. Well, 4 things actually. So I have on my machine total count, which is here. This is total count of stitches. And mine, if my numbers are correct, are 12,685,885. That's how many stitches. However, I've only done 5,806,424 stitches since the last time it was checked. So what does that mean to me? It means that I read somewhere that it is recommended that you have your machine checked yearly or every 20 to 25 million stitches. So if I'm going by 20 to 25 million stitches and I have only done roughly 6 million stitches since the last time it was checked, I still can do, 620? I can do, 14,000 more stitches before it needs to be checked. Roughly. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to stick with the annual checkup. But that's where it is. Okay, so now the last 2. Right here at the bottom, total time. 501 hours. I have put 501 hours on my machine since I got it in 2021. This is 2024. It's been almost 3 years since I purchased this machine, and I only have 500 hours on it. However, I have put 227 hours on it since the last time it was checked, almost a year ago. So what does that tell me? 2 things. One, I haven't put a lot of hours on my machine in 3 years. And two, I have almost double the amount of stitching within this past year than I did in the first 2 years. So things are picking up. So that's what that tells me. So these numbers are very important. So look in your manual. It explains that very clearly. Hopefully I have as well. Or look at this again and then look at your machine so you can understand what this means. And then you also have your identifying number for your machine and the version of your update, which is very important. Now this can be reset to default. The only time I would think that it's reset to default is if you sell it and the person wants to have their own usage number displayed for their own purposes, but they need to remember that if they bought my machine and I have roughly 13 million stitches on it and they put it at default and they put 20 million stitches on it, they actually have 33 million stitches on it total because it had 13 million when they bought it, if that makes sense. So you don't want to totally eliminate what it was before. It's almost like changing the odometer on a car, which is illegal. You don't want to do that, but it appears that you can do that with the machine. But you do need to remember, for the purpose of the machine itself and its usage, is to remember what it is from day one. So this is page 9. Now page 9 used to be the last page. It was the last page when I purchased my machine. It went from page 1 to page 9. On here I have my wireless LAN enabled, which means I can run my machine wireless. The little thing down here is my internet name, so that's that. Then you have your wireless LAN setup wizard, which makes it really, really easy to set everything up to your internet. Then you have the name of your machine. The name of my machine is Grateful. They have it Grateful 21. I don't know if I put the 21 on there or not, but my machine is Grateful. That's the name of my machine. I have the name on the side of my machine that is Grateful. My SE 1900 that I bought first embroidery machine, I have on it, its name is Inspiration. And the reason why it is named Inspiration is that it inspired me to get into embroidery and to upgrade to a 10 needle machine. Now, I had another machine that was named Thankful because I was thankful for being able to get it. I no longer have that machine, so I didn't want Thankful too, so I changed it to Grateful. Same thing. But anyway, I digress again. Wireless LAN status, what does that mean? It just gives you a bunch of stuff. The status is active, the signal is strong. It tells you what my ID is and the mode and what have you. Close it, go back to where I was. Other is just a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter. And then you have your network reset, where it can be reset if you sell your machine and they need to set it for their wireless information. And then you have your app guide that goes in here because they have now put Artspira on this machine and it had to show up somewhere. You scan the QR code and you can install Artspira on your mobile phone, which I have it on my mobile phone, but I have to admit I've not used Artspira yet. I got to do it. I got to see what it's all about. And then you have my stitch monitor, which I do use, and I use it for my iPhone, which is the iOS platform. You can do the Android platform. You QR code it. I have all that information, and I use my stitch monitor app to monitor the embroidery on my smart device. I can walk out the room and it tells me what's going on. It says you can monitor the progress status of your embroidery on your smart device. You can also check all the thread color information used for your embroidery. So I use my stitch monitor all the time. So Artspira, not so much. And then I hit OK. Then I go back to this page 9. Page 10 allows you to download the updated program anytime you get a notification. You used to get an email. Now I notice there's an exclamation mark that shows up on the bottom part of your screen below where my stylus is. An exclamation mark will show up. And what I did notice is that I didn't do anything with it for a while, and the exclamation mark turned to red, which was indicating to me, girl, you need to update this machine. It stayed red until I came into this screen, hit start, and it uploaded or downloaded or whatever, the upgrade. I didn't have to go on to the site, put the information on my USB port, then come back and stick it in my machine and so forth and so on like it is in the past. Now it is more automatic, which I love. But this page number 10 is how you keep your machine up to date. And as you can see, it is the latest version, and it says the new update is installed. So I am up to date with my machine. And the last page number, page 11, speaks directly of Artspira. You can take it off your machine. I don't know what the change is. See what that says. Get PIN code to register your machine and log into Artspira and select your embroidery machine. Type the following number in, type the PIN in, And so I guess to be able to start using Artspira on the machine, which I probably need to do because I haven't done anything with Artspira. Or you can take it off. So that's page 11. So that is the end of all of the pages that you have on the LCD panel on your Brother 1055X. And hopefully you understand what all of the different icons. Well, it cut off. Hopefully this is recording. I gotta stop because it wants me to stop. But anyway, I'm going to record how to do an applique on my next video. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. I'm not going to stay on here long because I don't know how long it's going to record. Put a lot of information on here, and hope it's beneficial. If it is, please give me a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, and join my live stream every Tuesday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys take care, and I will talk to you later. Thank you for stopping by. Bye-bye.